Hello. Uszka. Polish little ears. Mushroom stuffed pierogies tucked at both ends. They resemble little ears. Traditionally, they are served with the Polish vegetarian Barszcz at Wigilia, Polish Christmas Eve dinner. So in this video, we're going to show you how to make them. Now they're not very difficult to make at all. A little time consuming, just like pierogies are. So we're going to start off first showing you how to make the dough. So let's get going. To start, we need to prepare our area, wash our hands, remove all jewelry, which I've already done. Now, we're going to be using a food processor equipped with metal blade. And we will need 2 cups of unbleached all-purpose flour, 3/4 cup of room temperature water. Place the flour in the food processor. Now secure the lid. And we're going, while we turn on the food processor, we're going to dribble in the water. Now, you're going to dribble the water very, very slowly. Now, I like to use bottled water if it's all possible, but of course you could use your tap water. Now, if you're wondering where this recipe came from, well, it was my mother's. And when she made this dough, of course, she did not have a food processor, so she had to do this all with her hands. So we are very, very lucky. Keep dribbling. Almost. You can see the dough forming. Just like that. Look at that. Especially towards the end, keep dribbling. Alright, now we are done. And we're going to let this food processor go just for a few minutes while I flour the work surface and my hands. And now we're going to turn the machine off. We're going to take the lid off. And you're going to place the dough onto your surface area. Now you have to be careful. The blade is very sharp. We're going to flour the dough. Now remember, we don't have to work the dough too much. The food processor did all the work for us. So now what we're going to do is let the dough rest. So we're going to cover it with plastic wrap. We're going to let the dough rest. And now we're going to go and make the filling. In a medium pot, place around 1 1/2 ounces of dry assorted mushrooms. Then we're going to cover with water. Cook until they are tender. And then we're going to drain the mushrooms. You're going to reserve the liquid for future use. And now that the mushrooms are cooked and tender, we're going to go ahead and chop them real fine, just like that. So using a very sharp knife, cut them up into small pieces. And once we do all of them, we're going to go ahead and season them with salt and pepper. Well, I'm going to go ahead and finish chopping the rest of the mushrooms. So now I have chopped up all the mushrooms. It's time to season them. We're going to use some fresh ground pepper. And I like to use sea salt, freshly ground sea salt. And
now we're going to mix the mushrooms. Now, I'm using this teaspoon to mix the mushroom because that is the teaspoon that I'm going to use to measure the fillings when I make my Uszkas. Okay, now you want to taste the mushrooms to make sure that you have the right seasoning. Just a little bit more salt. There. I think this will be perfect. All right. So we are ready to make Uszka. Well, this dough now has been resting for about half an hour. We're going to unwrap the dough. Cut it in half. We're going to save the one half for later. Let's flour the dough. And now, with your hands, you're going to spread the dough just ever so. Okay, we're going to flour some more. Now, using a rolling pin, place the rolling pin in the middle of the dough and start rolling towards the edge. Middle towards the edge. Middle towards the edge. And continue rolling the dough. Now we're going to flip the dough, spread the flour, and again roll. Oh, that feels nice. Okay, well, now we are ready to make our circles. Using a glass 3-inch in diameter, you're going to press down onto the dough and twist to make circular shapes. Just like that. Let's do a couple more. Well, I think you get the idea. So I'm going to go ahead and finish making the circles later. So I'm going to set this dough aside. And now we're going to do the filling. So now we are ready to do the filling. You're going to take about a teaspoon of the mushroom filling and put it right in the center of the dough. There. Oh, that's great. Okay. Now, we're making Uszka, the little ears. But if you want to make some mushroom, just mushroom pierogies, you could do it very easily. Because just like a pierogi now, we're going to go ahead and we're going using a pastry brush, dip in water. We're going to wet the edges, just like that. Because we have to fold our dough a little circles in half, just like you would in a pierogi, before we go and make our little ears. So now, I'm going to dip my hands in the flour. You're going to pick up the dough, fold it in half, and while you're folding, you're going to press the filling in just like a pierogi. So I mentioned if you want to make mushroom pierogies, well, here it is. But we're going to take this one step further. We're going to take the pastry brush, dip in water. You're going to wet this end, and you're going to flip the dough, wet the other end, then bring the two ends together, and you're going to press And there you have it, little ears. All right, so let's go ahead and do another one. Dip your hands in the flour. Okay, so we fold the circle in half, bring the two edges together, press to seal. Then using the pastry press again, dip this end. Now flip over, wet the other end, bring them together, press. So now we have another. And then once we finish making all of our little ears, we can boil them just like you do pierogies. So here, fold the dough in half, tuck your filling in, press, wet the pastry brush, wet this end, flip over, wet this end. And now bring the two ends together, press, oops, all right, there we go. Well, I'm going to go ahead and finish making the rest of the uszka, and then I'll meet you at the stove. Now we are ready to boil uszka in a large pot filled with salted water over high heat. We're going to drop uszka. We're going to let them cook till they rise to the surface. Once they rise to the surface, we're going to let them cook for a couple of minutes. And then we're going to strain them. So here they are, little ears. Don't they look yummy? Well, I've placed them in a strainer to drain the excess water. And now they are ready to be served.